Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Global Frequency, streaming on a Monday night stream.
And a little bit weird because I'm at my abode. We still have snow coming down here in the Northeast. So
yeah, it's pretty heavy. I think we're looking at 11 inches across today and tomorrow.
So rather than having me have to drive through it, we decided to just
14. Is that anywhere from 8 to 14?
Yeah, 14 maybe.
And I've been out twice with JoJo already, and he was losing his mind over it.
Okay, so we only just came live on my phone.
Oh, so we have a delay?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bit.
There's a delay, so why don't you say hello to everybody again?
So hello, everybody, and welcome to
Howdy.
Frequency. We're going to be talking some comic books, talk about MAVRICS, sorting through the stuff that we got at the 3-for-1 back issue sale and dollar bin at our local comic store. I walked out with a very large stack of books. Pretty excited about looking through them and seeing if there's anything, any golden nuggets. Actually, I found the second issue of War of the Independents. I don't know if anyone's seen this. It's impossible to find anywhere. I can't find it online. I can't find anything about it from any retailer. And it's an old series from Anvil, which was basically a gigantic indie crossover of like every superhero IP on the market that wasn't owned by one of the big two or licensed through another company. So it was every creator who had independent IP control over their character kind of got together in this gigantic mashup. And it's kind of amazing. It's a cluster F of madness, and I very much enjoy it. But yeah, we're separated by a snowdrift. Garrett and I are working remotely. And let's see what activity is going on in the chat. We got Jake in the house, shaking his shake weight, it looks like. Right? That looks like he's gripping his shake weight. We got Juke Choint San. Good, recovering from a blizzard. Where are you at, Juke? I'm pretty sure you're up here, somewhere on the East Coast too, right? No. What's up, Total Excellence? How you doing, Ictus? It's good to see you. I didn't catch your stream live, but I saw the video after the fact, and your coloring, as always, is quite impressive. We apparently are in the chat saying we're in the midst of a blizzard. That would be Frequency Girl. And, and Jake is.
I was going to say Chicago. That's what I thought.
Yeah, he's in Chicago. That's right. He's in Chicago. He's got the thing about the pizza.
Yes.
I forgot about that. All right. We won't make that mistake again. So, you guys want to see some comics from the comic store? You want to ask us more questions about MAVRICS? Or do you want to just watch Garrett do his thing and art for an hour? Oh, it looks like we got Frank in the stream. Speaking of independent creators, check out the Captain Goggles and Max Woman mini comic digital bundle available on Ko-Fi. That is Frank's original character. He and Anna Robb have a dynamic duo. In case our viewers didn't already know, you can check out his digital bundle, which includes his comic books as well as a papercraft version of both heroes for your cutting and taping amusement. You can make characters out of them and set them up to have epic battles on your kitchen table, which I'm sure we'll be doing in the near future. No spoilers. I just haven't made him yet. What's up, Frank? I'm just gonna take a sip of my water here. You can get that cup somewhere.
I totally forgot to do coffee this morning. I think part of the reason I was like so loopy today was because the fact that like I had a wicked bad coffee headache.
Yeah.
I didn't get my first coffee.
Do you usually go out right in the morning and grab your coffee?
Yeah, I usually go to my local cafe there.
Took JoJo out this morning though, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I managed to get out with him and stuff like that, and then I just kind of felt like crap and went back to bed, and then forgot about coffee. And then that was a problem because I had the super bad headache, and
Yeah, it was just later. Yeah.
Dude, it was miserable.
So when I went to the store, I focused mainly on indie titles because I think that's where it's at right now. Improving my indie collection because that I can always be glad to grow. And I picked up some stuff I'd never seen before. Something like From the Desk of Warren Ellis from Avatar Press. And I didn't know that Warren Ellis, this is a 1995 to 1998 comic. I didn't know that he was like writing for, I should say, I didn't know him from any of his other works other than what he did for like Planetary and the Authority, Transmetropolitan, and the more mainstream stuff he did later.
Yeah, that's how you found him, right? Was Transmetropolitan.
Yeah, I fell in love with him from Transmetropolitan and Crooked Little Vein, and then I started reading his other stuff. But I caught eye, of his earlier work on stuff like, what is it here? Black Summer from Avatar Press, which is a whole series that he did. Art's actually really decent in here. It's a little bit busy. Stuff's a little bit, there's a lot going on some of these pages. It's a lot of detail. Someone's trying too hard to be a Tomo. But it's an interesting story and for an indie title. And I got a couple of issues of that. And I found some stuff from his old Wildstorm days. I just started fanboying, I guess, and grabbing whatever global or whatever Warren Ellis stuff that I could grab, because it's not like he's had an impact on our business at all. It's not like we named our company Global Frequency for a reason. Anyway, Jake says, I came across an Ellis book that made a poems book with really terrible low-res photographies. I would be interested in seeing that. Yeah, No Hero was good. That's some of his. Is that considered his earlier work?
Sorry.
I'm not sure. De-wrench me, please. Oh,
Sorry.
I don't know. I think Frequency Girl wrenched you. He doesn't want that responsibility. I also managed to pick up some old issues of Armorines, not the Valiant one, but the one from Acclaim. One our boy Peter Palmiotti did cover art for. So
no kidding.
3 of the 4 issues of that. So just one outstanding of the Avatar stuff, or the Acclaim comic stuff of Armorines. I haven't read it yet. I did read the original Armorine series though, and I thought it was nice. Okay, so it's later stuff, the No Hero during post Transmetropolitan. I'm super excited to start tearing through these comic books. I got a bunch of let's see, I found some stuff by Tucci that I'd never seen before. Tomoe. Got a couple issues of that.
Is this Billy Tucci or Stanley Tucci?
It's Stanley, Garrett. Of course, it's Stanley. He's a movie guy, right? No, it's Billy Tucci.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm really bad with names, and for those of you watching who don't know, sometimes I confuse people who have the same last name or the same first name, like Bill Pullman or Bill Paxton. I know that that's like a common confusion for some people, but if I know the guy's name is Bill, sometimes I'll call him the wrong last name. Or if I know someone's last name, I might call them the wrong first name. In this case, it would be Billy Tucci and Stanley Tucci. And I will call one the other accidentally quite frequently. But that said, I got She, East Wind, Rain, and Black, White, and Red. Got a couple issues of that because I missed those the first time around. And I got a bunch of the back issues of the She main series I didn't have. I think I had 1 through 6, so I got 7, 8, and 9, and I was really happy about that because $1, boys. Yes, Michael Tucci's brother. Actually, that's not true. That's not true. I grabbed. Where is it? Now I knew he worked on it. But the but the signatures are so freaking similar that I grabbed the event comic for Ash, which is a concept that Casada and Jimmy did together. And I don't know if you can see it, but at the bottom there's a Palmiotti signature, which looks conspicuously like the Peter Palmiotti signature down here. So I think that I snagged a couple of Jimmys when I was looking for a couple of Peters, but that's okay because Ash is an excellent series.
That totally sounds like you're talking about drugs of some kind.
Yes, I got some Jimmys.
Yo, you got some Jimmys?
Oh yeah, man! I had to drop a little bit of paper because a 3-for-1 and the dollar bin, man, that comes around like what, every 10 years. So yeah, we went out and we grabbed a bunch. I'm sure we'll find something worth talking about in here, and if not, we'll just have a giant stack of comics and a box to put them in. There's a few Tucci's. Yes, there are a few Tucci's, quite a few. I also got some completely unknown comics, stuff that I'd never heard of, like Car Warriors. It's just a joy for me to go into the comic shop and be able to walk out with titles like that because the sale is so good. Stuff that I would never normally buy, that I would never normally even like look twice at, but it's on sale and it's
why not,
there,
right?
and it's $1. So yeah, why not? The thing is, it's also written by Chuck Dixon. So not all of the purchases are just random. Most of them have someone on the book that I've either heard of or I'm excited to see again. At least one name that I'm familiar with, or the character that I'm familiar with. Like good old Dan Dare here. I was actually thinking of doing because he's in public domain now, a Dan Dare revival. So I'm like, source material. I could check this out. Maybe make Dan Dare come back to life. But, Peter named Ash as heard on the Tarako Creative Cast. Oh, see, I did not know this. If I had tuned into that episode, I'm sure I would have known. Did he ink any of it, or was it mostly Jimmy that inked it? Because I haven't gone through the entire series yet. And I know there are several different runs. There's a bunch of different series events. And so I'm not entirely sure where all it lands. I did see copyright for some of Peter's characters in the back of War of the Independents, right up there with Ash, Jimmy's character. Stuff like that. But that was another reason that I was really excited to go to the store. I got to search around for back issues of things that I didn't have from indie creators, like Captain Canuck. I got my hands on some Captain Canuck for the first time. Some of the recent Captain Canuck for the first time. And I was really happy about that because I read Captain Canuck back when it was like 60 cents. And the pages were made out of that really thin newsprint paper that got your fingers all colorful and had ads for, Frank Atlas in the back. You know the one I'm talking about, Garrett, where the nerdy kid gets sand kicked in his face.
Oh,
Frank Atlas is like, you need to bulk up, kid.
yeah.
Yeah, he stalks the bully later.
Yeah, there's a couple of different guys like that. It wasn't just Frank Atlas. There's a couple of them.
And then I found stuff like this. I think this is the unique one. It's an issue of The Losers, one of my favorite movies that Zoe Saldana's in. And of course, it's actually the comic book of the movie. I don't think it's the comic book that was adapted.
I didn't realize that was a comic, The Losers. Yeah. No shit. And
in the back, it has a Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow CD-ROM game. So I was like, when am I going to get an out of print CD-ROM for 33 cents effectively? So, I definitely grabbed the polybagged issue just to break out the Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow piloting game. And maybe we'll do a review of that just for the, laughs of it, just for the laughs, because I try not to curse and show Frank that I can, and watch my potty mouth.
Are we doing that? Is that a thing?
I don't know. Are we? Charles Atlas, right? Charles Atlas. He did the bodybuilding stuff.
There's a band called the Bonzo Dog Band that I used to listen to because my dad had a record of it, and they were like contemporaries of the Beatles, but like they were kind of this weird like jokey version of them. And actually, it's funny. One of their songs is "Death Cab for Cutie," so that's actually where the band Death Cab for Cutie got their name from that Bonzo Dog Band song. But they had a song called "Mr. Apollo," and it was basically kind of like the whole song about that like kind of comic book guy who like teaches you to not be a wimp. And yeah, I always kind of laugh whenever I hear about that because I immediately think of that song instead.
I'd love to hear it.
Oh, dude, I'll play it for you sometime. At the very end of the song, like as like they're kind of like fading out because they do a fade out, which I'm not a fan of, but you know it is what it is. They have Mr. Apollo is kind of like speaking over the track, and like the things he says like still stick with me today is like some of the funniest things I've ever heard. I think he's like, before I was a 2 stone apology or something, which a stone is like what 20 pounds.
Yeah.
So like he's like before I was a 40-pound apology, and he's like today I am 2 separate gorillas, and I love the idea of that being a description for being like muscle bound is I'm 2 separate gorillas.
I like that. That's a good line. Yeah, Jake, I remember it being incredibly pulpy and kind of a lot of fun back when I watched it all those years ago. But I wonder what a flight simulator, a Sky Captain flight simulator would be like. So I might just fraps it or I guess record myself playing it through the Xbox companion that I have on my computer and record that and upload it just to, have some gameplay and make myself look terrible. Oh, Frank's dropping our link. Thank you so much, Frank. I appreciate it. Advertising for the channel. Look at that.
It's for the Indiegogo.
What's up?
It's the MAVRICS Indiegogo.
That's the Indiegogo one. Apparently, I found out from Travis Gibb that although what I thought was the case that on Kickstarter you put up a pre-launch page and it's only good for 30 days, apparently you can leave it up for as long as you want. So that might have been our mistake. We should probably put one together. The thing about the Indiegogo page is that it is far more detailed. It is far more content. You can upload multiple photos. You have a much higher character limit, even though the characters only go in certain boxes and the boxes don't fit full words or a good word count.
Aaron's not bitter.
What?
You said Aaron's
Thank you.
I can't hear you on my end. Would you say?
Aaron's not bitter.
No, I'm not bitter. I'm sour.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's just a very basic page, but at least it'll get a little bit more traction because people pay attention to Kickstarter, some people, and some people pay attention to Indiegogos when you hear a coming soon or a pre-launch page is up. I had to get more active on Twitter. The game won't run as the software load time will spin in 300 times and crash because the computer is too modern. That might be the case. We'll find out. But we do have some really old computers to try and play it on. And I could probably just download the Xbox Companion onto one of those really old ones. We have like Dells from 2007.
Oh, even older than that. I was going to say, I think Jake underestimates our hoarding capabilities.
You saw the stack of comics I walked out that store with. We have great hoarding capabilities. You know not my power. My power of the pack rat. But yeah, I found some. I wanted to surprise you with it, but I found some Mobius too.
Ooh!
I've actually found the Incal. So
nice.
Jodorowsky Mobius,
yes,
which is really good looking. And I found something else that Mobius was on that I'd never heard of before. It was just one issue. It was like a number 6, but I figured I'd pick it up so you could look at the art and we could talk.
Oh yeah, man! The patron saint of freaking
Garrett's art.
Yeah, patron saint of my life.
Hey, Burns, what's going on? What time is it where you are? How are you, my friend? Good to see you. Glad you could stop by. We're talking about this polybagged comic book that I got at the comic store. And it's an issue of The Losers from the movie. And it's got a Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow CD-ROM flight simulator. And I'm really like booting it up and taking a crack at it and seeing how awful it is. Making that slave run. I could make a joke, but I probably shouldn't. We're trying, keep this stream PC, right?
That's a good idea.
Hit the wrong one.
11:20 a.m. My man starting his day, well, I guess middle of the day by now, with a friendly global frequency stream at 7 p.m. for us here. I gotta love that time difference.
Oh, where are you coming in from?
He's from Australia, mate. Right? You're from Australia?
So they're in the middle of summer right now, right?
I can't do an Australian accent. I need to learn.
What's Australian summer like right now?
Probably hot, bruh.
Oh, I'm guessing, but I'm just,
Bruh, it's hot. So, yeah. Oh, here's something else. This is another one of Peter's creations, Gatecrasher. It's a comic I've never heard of before. Put out by Black Bull Press and The Ring of Fire, but it is a believe this. I'm gonna open it up so you can actually see and poop yourselves.
Please not now.
Just want you to take a look at this roster right here. Can you guys see who created this book?
I want to make it big.
That's right. Mark Waid, Jimmy Palmiotti, Amanda Connor. People who are people now who weren't people then. Because I've never heard of Black Bull Press. And I think that's crazy.
Sideburn says you can save your impressions.
Yeah, what's that?
You can save your impressions.
I can save my impressions. Yeah, I probably should. Probably offending an entire country when I do that. But yeah, I'm happy and satisfied that, oh, hell yeah, Amanda Connie, I've never heard of her. But I have heard of Mark Waid and Jimmy Palmiotti. And I'm surprised that they work together on something called Gatecrasher from Black Bull. And I'll have to look up the history of it on Wikipedia or something to see how that happened. Because I'm not familiar with them outside most mainstream runs that they've done. So it's exciting for me to see like mainstream people in the indie scene. It kind of feels like what's sort of going on with mainstream right now with a lot of these mainstream artists and writers kind of fleeing into the indie scene and doing lesser known stuff that probably no one's going to know anything about in 20 years. Oh, okay. Her and Jimmy and Ennis on the Pro. That's actually going on right now, isn't that? Don't they still have the Pro in crowdfunding? I vaguely remember seeing something fly across my screen about that. He's done several, right? You can do a Hispanic impersonation. I won't be offended. Actually, I can. I can speak Spanish reasonably well. I don't want to say I'm fluent. I was fluent once upon a time. I'd spent 2 summers.
Were you really?
Oh yeah. I spent 2 summers in a Spanish immersion speaking nothing but, and I was pretty silver-tongued when it came to speaking the Espanol. Yeah, I heard about Berserker. That's the Keanu Reeves project, right? Is there any more recent news about that? Was there a headline that I missed? Yeah, I know. Crazy, right? And he totally went indie with it, and a whole bunch of mainstream comic pros lost their minds, and they were like, it's not fair. Why is he going to crowdfunding? He should put that out through a studio. And I'm like, but he's just going direct to his consumers. What's wrong with that? I've heard about Berserker Not too. the Lafferty, right? That's his name. Yeah, that dude. Yeah, he draws feet pretty well. It's some exciting painterly art, nifty story. I can't wait for issue number 2. I think it was a honey dipped thrill ride through the mind of a madman. That's it, right? When the hell am I going to read Berserk? Man, I read it back in the day. I didn't read the entire run, of course, but I read some of it back in the day.
Talking about the manga?
The manga. I was thrilled to read that manga. It changed everything for me. I think you had some extensive experience with Berserk too, right, Garrett?
I'm a big fan of Berserk.
Actually, the clan that we are in is called Gutsers. So,
well, but that's not where that's from.
That's from the tabletop that you guys ran. Yeah. But didn't you name it after Guts when you ran the tabletop? So it's had so many permutations. It all goes back to the Band of the Hawk. How long ago did you play that game?
We're still technically playing it.
Technically, but Rob's doing the GMing. So few and far between. Juke Joint wants to know, it's because the world's gone mad and people want to back giant corporations like they are the good ones. Well, so I'll weigh in on this. Some giant corporations are not evil. Some giant corporations are evil, but mainly when it comes to finance, financial instruments are just that. They're tools. And people can use their tools constructively or destructively. And a lot of corporations really don't care to make sure to hold themselves accountable to using them constructively. So yes, we're living in an age where the more power you give and more financial support you give to mainstream major corporations, the more likely it is that they have the ability to screw us over in the long run. So I will say I 70% agree with that as far as the financial institutions, and 100% agree with that because the world's gone crazy and people want to back the giant corpse. And I don't know why that is. Like, I remember a while ago, maybe what was it, back in 2012, people were making a push to get mom and pop shops more local support. People were like, we don't want Target and Walmart and whatever else coming in and sucking up the neighborhood. Where we used to live in Astoria, actually, they brought in a Target. Funny enough, it always goes back to politics, doesn't it? We had a Target come in and create a food desert in our neighborhood after we left. And it's just like, Target comes in, buys up the whole block, and boom, there go the grocery stores. There got all the little small guys that had rented storefronts. So I don't know when it became a shift to people backing major corporations instead of smaller retail chains or even individual creators. But that's what we're in crowdfunding for, right? That's what we're trying to do with Kickstarter and Indiegogo. We're trying to market direct to the fans and say, hey, we're not a major corporation. What we're doing here is trying to give you exactly what you want in the package we can offer, I guess. Feed me another line.
Well, I was going to say that I really like the part of the panel that Garrett's working on. It's not
thank you.
What we were talking about, but I like it. I especially like that they have faces because
so much mainstream art just kind of has the Little Orphan Annie or
I don't know if that's necessarily a problem of mainstream art, but there's a problem of art in general is that oftentimes I think it's mostly a problem with digital artwork.
Could be
specifically digital because when you can zoom in and out like this, you can get really obsessed with detail that you wouldn't normally be able to see. Like if you're working at a normal sized panel in the reel, you're doing pencil and actual legitimate inking, you never lose perspective about, hey, this face there's too much detail here or there's not enough detail here. When you work digital, you can like completely lose that perspective. Remember the whole bullet thing I was telling you about?
Yep. How detailed do you make the bullet?
Yeah, I mean, like that bullet belt, like zoomed in like this, like that looks like garbage. But I got to remember that in the grand scheme of things, this is a 9-inch, page width. So like realistically, like, that's all you're going to be able to see, and it's going to look fine. You
And
know,
if you go too detailed, it'll actually look worse.
yeah, exactly. Because if I start doing super detail, when you back the hell out, it's not going to read, or it's going to look like almost like pixel art in a weird way. There was some book we were looking at. I forget what it was. But I remember there was things that were like obviously photoshopped in because they were like posters that were on the walls of a building.
I forget, that was the one I was talking about, the faces looking all weird.
Yeah, there
It
was
was the same book. Same book.
There's a couple of them that were having that
I
problem.
saw yesterday that had no faces. There were the
Oh.
two guys. I showed it to you. They had no faces.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I don't
That
remember.
was
which one
yesterday?
it was. Yeah.
So then we have the book here.
I'm not sure if it was one that we got or just one that we were looking at.
Oh yeah, because we were at the store yesterday.
Yeah.
Right. Man, it feels like forever ago. But yeah, when you can use like digital and get so zoomed in to do detail.
Yeah, it's the most dangerous part of working digitally, is that you can lose perspective on the whole thing, right? It's been a challenge for me in making sure that I'm leaving enough space in my compositions for lettering.
Mm-hmm.
Because I gotta remember, like, oh, Aaron needs this many words in this panel, so let's not.
That's definitely something writers and artists should collaborate on if they can. I've seen so many lopsided panels because too many words are being squeezed into too tight of a space. By the way, bro, I love the hatching. The hatching is reminiscent of something. I really like it.
Well,
Gives it that volume. Juke Joint says that's what he's doing right now, trying to ink a page with brushes before he goes to work. That is great, man.
Like actual inking.
Yeah, that's what he means. I'm all for the old school approach. We use the digital tools available to us because it's so much more convenient, but sometimes just the authentic article, the genuine article using the traditional tools is beyond compare. That's really when people's talent can shine, is when they're using those traditional tools to bring the craft to life. Addie is in the house.
Hey,
Good to have you. Glad you're here. And it looks like Jake just completed a Claire run in Resident Evil 2 before the stream began. How was it? Did you enjoy the remake? I haven't played the new Resident Evil, which is just the remake of the old Resident Evil, so I wouldn't know. Take a long time. Juke Joint says...
No, I already put that up.
Says something I already read. So yeah, there's a lot of people in the circle of artists and writers I know right now who are either making the transition to digital or prefer to work in a classical medium. That's what I'm going to call it, not antiquated or archaic. I'll call it classical, because it takes skill and experience to not mess up your inks. I could never do inking, man. I would get it on my hand and it would be awful.
I mean, like, generally speaking, when I used to actually do legitimate inking, some weird word for it, but like your old school style inking, you're using markers for most of your line work, right? Or, pens for most of your line work. And then when you're filling in massive sections, that's when you're busting out the brushes. And at that point, you're setting up you're resetting up your workspace, so you're not potentially making a mess. So it's not too bad. But yeah,
Jake says he beat the game.
It's fucking a pain in the ass.
You beat the game you beat the Claire run in 5 hours and it was terrible. Do you mean you did terribly, or that particular run, Claire's run, is terrible? You're gonna have to clarify for me, bro.
Clarify.
Yeah. Kim found a couple comics that she loved at the store. 2 new series she's getting involved in. Yeah, I mean, we had the first issue of one of the main arcs, or the most recent arcs, of Soulfire, and she really liked that. So when we went to the store, she was going through the back issue boxes, and there was like an enormous section of Soulfire, and we found out that, much like Ash, there's been like a dozen different incarnations of storylines for it. So she's going to have to like start going through to collect the ones she wants. She snatched a bunch of issue 1s from many of the different runs, so that way we can take a look at the art and see if she likes it and if it's worth pursuing.
I also found the Magdalena, which has Marcia Chen.
Yes,
and I love
actually,
her. Yes, okay. Aaron found it. That's
found
true.
it, and I said, "This looks like something you would like," and you're like, "Yeah, because it's by my favorite artist, dummy."
Yeah,
and did you know that Marcia Chen, who I did not know that this was the case, did you know she worked on The Darkness? I did not know she was on The Darkness, but she was on The Darkness.
I didn't know
it was only the early issues. I think it was like the first, within the first 20, though. But I know I have an issue, the reprint, the 25th anniversary edition reprint of The Darkness around here somewhere down in this basement. So I'm going to check to see if she's on that, because I know she was on one of the issues we were looking at. She probably has like a...
Yeah, I didn't read Darkness. I know she did Wraithborn.
Yeah, she did Wraithborn.
I love Wraithborn. It was so cool.
Yep. You're also in love with Jose Benitez.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because, you know...
Lady Mechanica.
He's hotter
which
than I
she
am.
also did. So
He can draw.
Yes.
Started Leon Hardcore for 3 hours, gave up on it, and hopped to regular Claire and took it from there. He did terrible in the second half of the game. Well, you know, nobody's perfect, and it is Resident Evil, so it sometimes feels like there is artificial difficulty involved. I would have thought that with the remake, they would have gotten better at scaling the game, but, you know, maybe you just suck. I don't know. Or
That's nice.
It's one or the other.
Aaron's that.
Juke Joint says he'd like to get a digital tablet one day, but he wanted to start drawing traditionally to make it harder for himself. That's great. You know,
no, it's not. Don't lie to yourself that making it harder is going to make it easier for yourself. There are things to learn from doing it traditionally. Believe me, like you can absolutely learn some really important, valuable lessons. But a rule that I always preach and I always, point out with art is needing to suffer for your art is a lie. Don't listen to it. You don't need to suffer for your art. It does not make it better that you suffered for it. Do what works and just go with it like that. if it's doing something that looks good, do that. If it's a fast or a shortcut, it's not that. You're just learning how to be efficient. Like, don't suffer for your art. That's the best advice I can give there.
He says to work smart.
Work smart, yeah.
Exactly.
Work smarter, not harder.
And also,
I think that's the saying, right?
Yeah. It applies to so much stuff though, because there's so many people out there that think you have to suffer for creativity, and it's not true. You end up suffering regardless if you really are doing creative stuff, just because usually creative people are like that. But you don't have to, and don't think that it's a virtue. I've known too many artists that have, refused to, make good stuff because they don't think they're suffering enough for it. And it's crazy to me.
Trust me, you're going to have plenty of things that are going to make work harder for you, just because, going into these things, there is no roadmap and you're going to make mistakes and get yourself all flustered and turned around. You'll write a script and then your artist will be drawing it and go, you know what? I think we need 5 extra pages in the opening too. So of course that'll throw off your timeline, and the final product will look amazing. You'll get a brand new character with an eye patch that you haven't named.
Uh-huh.
Have to integrate with the story because eye patch, right? But you will make it hard on yourself going into indie comics knowing nothing. And I don't think anyone who's in indie comics without already having a comics career knows anything. If you're going indie comics, even as a small time creator, and you're not, used to making them, you know nothing, and you're going to make plenty of mistakes, and it's okay. Juke Joint says, "Oh no, I just meant I wanted to start drawing traditionally because if I start drawing on a tablet, I feel like I'll end up taking a lot of shortcuts with it." That's an understandable position. I get that. Garrett went to art school, and I don't really know anything about how he draw and paint in art school, but I'm assuming he did learn, traditional styles first. I know he painted like giant canvases that were 16 feet tall.
Honestly, there's a lot of merit to learning the traditional methods, but don't get obsessed with it. A tablet really is going to be your friend moving forward. It just there's so many benefits to working digitally that you can't replicate working traditionally. That being said, I mean, a lot of guys still do work traditionally. I know Andrew McLean, who does Headlopper, does all of his stuff traditionally. It's color digitally, but he does his pencils and inks traditionally. I think James Stocco does all of his pencils. He does them traditionally and then scans it, and I think he inks digitally and colors digitally. I think he only does the pencils traditionally. But again, I think some of those cases are because a lot of times pencils are one of those things that's you, again, if you're working at a large scale on things and you're trying to cram a lot of detail, digital can be really tricky, and you can get fooled into the problem of scaling, right?
I think Frank can do both, but I think Jake raises an interesting point about weighing the cost of input and resources, because traditional resources do rack up over time, like the inks themselves,
yes,
quills, all of the things that go into that, versus a tablet, which kind of, I don't know, how long have you been using that Cintiq, Garrett? I think it's been
4 or 5 years.
So
4 years?
We got it. I don't remember how much we
5
got
years?
it for.
5
got
years.
it kind of new, got it. But you divide the value, over time, it's really inexpensive. Hey, what's up, Dave? Dave wants to know, Frank, what tablet you're using. Garrett, you can tell him what tablet you're using.
I'm using a Wacom Cintiq Companion. It's it's a basically computer and tablet all in one. It's got a 17.5-inch screen, I think.
I have dreams of getting him one of those giant Cintiqs that have like the moving screens on rails, but we have to make a comic that sells before we do that. Mm-hmm. So
yes, I mean, someday I would love to upgrade to a larger one, just because the more real estate you have to work with, the better. But this, for my purposes, this one's pretty darn good.
Speaking of traditional and digital, didn't Frank just do a video about changing his pencils to a digital?
Someone did a video?
You can take one of your earbuds out and still hear Garrett.
Oh, that's true. I could, and then I could hear you.
Yeah.
Frank did a video about that.
Didn't Frank just do a video?
Yeah, he did. He did just do a video about how he changes his pencils over to digital. I think it's a scan, and he does a scan of his pencils, and then he inks over them. It was a really great video. You should check it out. Frank, why don't you drop the link? Because I thought the time lapse that you did was fantastic, and I love the Tarako Creative Cast logo jumping around the screen to the music. It was very entertaining. It was very artfully done. Thank you for stopping by, Dave. We're very glad to have you as always. I'm trying to put together something to feature your work in the upcoming episode of Featured on the Frequency, and hopefully I'll have it up by Wednesday. I wanted to have it up by Friday, but that wasn't happening. There are too many things that I had to photograph and put together. So hopefully I'll get it done sometime this week in the midst of all of the snow. Jake says, imagine if you're indie comics and doing work on Bristol, which costs $15 to $20 for 20 sheets. Contrast to a tablet and software that you could get for free, though, over a 5 to 6 year span. Yeah, he does have a very good point. Yep. However, if you're making very good use of those 20 pages or 20 sheets, and that's what, that's all you need, then, for a book that you're cranking out $20, I don't know, over 5 years.
Well, let's be real here. It's not just the Bristol, right? He's 100% right. We're talking about Bristol, we're talking about pencils, we're talking about pens, inks, all of the stuff you need to do all that. And then we're also talking about scanning that stuff. So you're either buying a scanner
anyway.
Yeah, and you need a big scanner for Bristol pages. Or you're going to have to be, doing a lot of extra freaking work to scan half pages and reassemble them in some kind of, image program. So that's not fun.
Yes, Jake, I'm going to spoil it. I'm doing Space Crash, and I'm going to do Davy Rocket Almanac, and I'm going to do Temerity. Those are the 3 subjects of the next Featured on the Frequency, because they're all set in space. I was really cool to do that. And then we can also talk about space issues in space in books about space. We can get super meta about it. Juke Joint says, yeah, it's like a Porsche of drawing tablets. I just got to save a little money, but I'm definitely getting a tablet at some point. Let me also add, I think we did talk about this a little bit last time, but you can't just get a tablet. You got to also pick your software. And it seems that Clip Studio is kind of the go-to right now.
There's a lot of them, right? Photoshop's an old standby because Photoshop can do anything. But part of the problem with Photoshop is that it can do everything, right? So like you can get lost in all of the features sometimes. I like Clip Studio a lot because it's pretty focused on comic making, and all the shortcuts are mostly the same as Photoshop. So I can do that. I haven't dabbled with Procreate. I know that people have had a lot of luck with that. I just haven't messed with it at all. I think Corel Painter is amazing, but most people that I know, it's just, once again, it's got too many features. So maybe if you're doing dedicated illustration work and you really want to be able to replicate some stuff, because I mean, I've seen Corel can do some wacky stuff.
But it's very niche too, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like the stuff that it does is hyper focused on like art. I think we had this conversation once where the things that you're learning are so thoroughly like down the rabbit hole of doing one particular thing for art in an incredible way. But for the purposes of just illustrating a comic book, Clip Studio seems to be
because again, like with Corel, like you can like adjust your brushes to like the density of oil paint that you're laying down with like an oil tool. So like you can be leaving clumps of oil paint behind, and then like you can modify how well they mix when you're going back over the brush, and like that's incredible. So like you can really make something. You can make an image that looks sculptural. Right? Like you actually have like 3-dimensional texture on your brush that you can manipulate. That's a level of complexity that I don't need when I'm trying to make a comic page, right? Like that's just too much.
Sideburns says he was going to say that, but was driving, and Stoko has the same process. That's fantastic. We're huge fans of Stoko, so
yeah,
we're huge fans of you too, man. I know Jake is also going to be doing something on Stoko with that document scanner, so everything's just kind of coming together, isn't it?
James Stoko is the freaking man. Let's hope that his career is long and storied, because I really enjoy his work.
I mean, well, he's taken mainstream jobs, so he's getting
fed, yeah, absolutely.
He just did that Robin comic, right? well, he did the Batman comic that has the Joker thing in it.
I haven't seen that one. So
you have. We have it here. I was talking about it, and you were like, James, why are you drawing for DC?
Let me look at it, though.
Yeah, I know. Neither one of us have looked at it because we wanted to do a hot take. We wanted to just film ourselves reading it and goobing over how great his stuff is and maybe how terrible the story is. Who knows? Cyburn says Procreate is good, but the text editing is weak. Okay, so that's something I'm wondering about. When you say text editing, do you mean playing with and manipulating the fonts in the program, or do you mean editing the text that you put in bubbles and stuff? Because while I appreciate Clip Studio for all the stuff that it lets you do to manipulate objects in the background and whatnot, I wasn't super crazy about the font. I know Garrett just kind of threw some font together to get the words in the bubbles for the Indiegogo pre-launch, but I don't know. It's something about it seemed way too robotic, way too type-faced.
Which font are you talking about?
The one that's in the text bubbles in the Indiegogo pre-launch.
The one I think with the new page 2 or 3 that has the robot standing on the snow with the blue text box.
I don't know. I just remember glancing at it and going, I think we were looking at it together and I was saying you need to put like one word on a different line to kind of give the bubble the right shape.
Yeah.
Contours.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just the font specifically I was reacting to.
Gotcha.
Garrett, have you seen his thumb? Oh, James's thumb? James Stokoe's thumb. Did you know he's left-handed? I didn't know.
Dude, his the way that he draws.
The way he draws is crazy.
We had a whole conversation.
A whole conversation. He must be some sort of wizard who sold his hand to the devil and now has devil hands. The way that Bender sold his hands to the robot devil, or was it Fry? I don't remember. Something happened on Futurama. Someone got devil hands.
It was Fry.
It was Fry.
Yeah. Okay. Jake is sending you a picture
to my DM.
Yeah, he's got a wild grip on his pencil. I'd love to see him actually like some video of that. That's cool.
Juke says that he just bought a printer and he's still trying to figure that thing out to its full capabilities.
For doing like scan stuff.
Maybe. It has the option to type, but then I got no keyboard.
That is not okay. What is wrong with that man's thumb? Y'all don't want to see this. It looks like the top of his thumb is made out of silly putty or has some weird, crazy callus. You're gonna see this, Garrett, and you're gonna be like, oh, suffer for your work, huh? You do have to suffer for your work if you're James Stoko, apparently.
Nah.
Is it Stoko? Stoko? Stoko-A?
I think it's Stoko.
Yeah.
I think.
Lefty.
Yeah, legit. I went on. I was on his. I supported his Patreon for a while, and I tried messaging him and being like, "Dude, how do you pronounce your name?" Just because I wanted to get it right, and he was just like, "Hey, thanks for being on my Patreon," but didn't address the fact that I was curious how to pronounce his name, and never gave me an answer. And I was like, "All right, man."
That was the episode I was thinking of.
If I ever get
yeah, I knew there was robots in there somehow, but I think it's Stoko. Originally, we used to say Stoko, and then I made the joke that because he's so heavily influenced by manga, you might pronounce it, Japanese.
He actually says the A or the E.
Bye, Sideburns.
Hey, Sideburns. Thanks for joining us, man.
Take it easy. Enjoy your, noon. It's like the middle of the day where he is.
Duke says,
stay cool.
WF7710.
I don't know what model that is, but I'm sure it's a solid printer. I think Jake asked if it was laser.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, lasers are cool, man. So what do you think? In the robots of the future, will we have lasers on our massive anthropomorphic vehicles or massive armored vehicles or mechanized armored vehicles or whatever we're doing with the acronym here? Hampshire, when you guys would definitely know I want to be able to create my own blue line grid What's the best program to use for that? You're gonna have to ask.
I'm sorry, sir. For a blue line grid.
Yeah.
Can you read the question one more time? Sorry, I was.
He wants
I
to
think
create
the
his own
beginning had
blue line
a typo in it because he was talk to text, but he said he wants to create his own blue line grid. What's the best program to use for that?
So if you mean for like a layout for your page, I mean, most programs will have some kind of guide tools, right? I actually, because I was doing, I think the base clip actually has the ability to like do like a page layout, but they didn't have a custom size, so I built my own layout of basically just like flats that I can use to actually like cut things on. So you see here, like I've got a trim layer, I've got a bleed layer, all that kind of stuff. But I just kind of custom built those and like figured out the pixels for it, right? And it's pretty easy too. So like if you get your page done correctly, right, you can create a selection from like the background like that. And then if you go down to here, you can say, hey, like, if you're working at 300 DPI, that's 300 pixels per inch. You can just do some quick math to kind of figure out, hey, if I want a 1/4 inch bleed or if I want a 16-inch bleed, you can figure out the pixels, and then you just go to shrink selected area. And then you can modify it by the number of pixels. So if you figure out, like, say, hey, it's got to be 45 pixels that I'm shrinking it by. Okay, now suddenly you've built that bleed space. Then what you can do is selection, invert that selected area. Now you're just, using that. You build a layer that you put into like a layout file, and then you can like, fill that in, and then you can quickly select that to shrink back from. If you want to have blue line like grids, you can do that too by just where is it? In the under view, you've got like grid settings and stuff like that. So you can see here that the grid just filled in, and that's way more than I need, but you can absolutely do that. You can settings a grid here. You can change the pixels, the number of divisions, all that stuff. So you can have a solid grid to be working on if you really want that. So I don't know. Clip Studio does pretty well for setting up guides if need be. And like I said, I work on a kind of a custom page size, so I did do the layout for myself as part of a template for my pages. So I'll actually open up and show you. So right here is the page layout for MAVRICS. Whenever I start a new page, I just pull this guy up. And I've actually got it already pre-built with with 6 panels. If I need to do more than 6 panels, I have to add them manually, but usually I'm doing 6 is my average. So I got the 6 panels set up right here. And each one of those, I've got, my line layer, color layer, sketch layer, and then I've got 3 flats set up into a folder that I can just, start working with. Overall pencil sketch, because usually what I like to do is I like to just kind of like free form sketch on the page. So like, that way I can basically do something like this. This is an example of that, right? This is actually the this is the kind of like example sketch work for for this page here. So you can see I was kind of like, all right, I'll have 2 guys sitting with their machine gun. And then I kind of was trying to figure out how I wanted that progression to go. And then usually what I'll do is I'll just kind of fill it in. And then using my layout layers, I'll start cutting up the space and creating just flats for the panels that I start working in further from there. And that usually does pretty good.
Juke was hoping to know he wants to be able to print blue line template on paper. Is there a good recommendation for what a blue line template would be? I don't know if we're talking nine panel, 9 grid or what.
Oh, that's some old school stuff that I haven't thought of in a long time. So I'm pretty sure the whole reason you're using blue is just so that it doesn't scan, right? Like he
also works by hand. Yeah,
so yeah. The baby blue that you're talking about is that it's that special blue that when you scan it through, the scanner doesn't pick it up. It's almost like green screen, for video, right? Which is mostly just so you have a flat color to select in your program, but as far as printing on the pages, are you not getting like Bristol board with the blue grid already printed on? Because most I feel like the amount of work you would go through to print down a layout grid or like layout rulers for your page. You'd probably be saving yourself money by just buying like comic boards. I feel like.
Jake thinks it's time for my nap time.
I mean, It's not wrong.
Well, first I eat, then I nap.
Fed you yet.
Right.
While you're
So
still
you
awake.
ain't fed me, which means it's not time for my nap time until I eat.
Sorry, I just realized that I was like sitting I'm sitting like this thinking, and like you can't see me talking. I'll sit up like this.
It's okay. They're watching my pretty face, not yours.
Yeah.
I did interrupt you before, though. You were asking something about mechs and Mavericks.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I tried to ask this question twice now on 2 separate streams. I'm not going to ask it again now. I will ask it on the next stream, and I might have examples to show people.
Excellent.
It's good looking color, bro. Go back one. I want to see the highlight from the fire.
Oh,
that's nice. Yeah.
That looks so good. Yep. I mean, not that it didn't look good before, but the additional work really that you did, it's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Thank you. No.
Dave Hingley says, presumably as long as you print 100% blue, when you scan in, you only need to get rid of the blue channel in Photoshop, duplicate the red channel into the blue channel?
Yeah.
Presumably. I don't know if you can see the screen, Garrett. And Jake says I shouldn't forget my ambient. Don't worry, bro. I won't.
Addie says that Garrett's the pretty one.
Oh, that's how it is.
Thank you, Addie.
That must mean I'm the smart one then.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Oh man. Jake. I have that special artist intelligence. I know how to draw like pretty pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
Garrett.
Well, I mean, you saw
Jake.
the blooper. You saw the blooper reel. I can't keep thoughts in my head, and that's what being stupid is.
Yeah, I guess so, right?
I'm not the pretty one or the smart one. Maybe I'm just the funny one. Who knows?
The first frame orange glow looks great.
Yeah, yep, it does.
Yeah, I got the line in the background there.
Addie says he's the smart one. I'm the funny one. Okay.
Jimmy's the best one.
Jimmy's the best one.
I'm the short one.
Yeah.
I think
in temper and in stature.
I think he meant Kimmy when he typed Jimmy.
Oh, okay, then yes, I'm the best one. I thought it was a reference to something that I didn't get.
Like Jimmy Eat World?
Yeah, I don't know.
Jimmy eats the world, but he's less than Jake. Yes, but he's still better than Ezra.
Yes, it was Kimmy. Yay! I am the best.
All right, whatever. You're inflating the heads of my coworkers. We don't need none of that here. Dave's going to take off. I think we're going to call it here, too. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys.
It's 8 o'clock. That hour went by real fast.
Yeah, it's 8:08, or 8:04.
8:04.
We are trying to keep these streams down to an hour. I'll see if there's something we want to clip from this. Probably Garrett waxing poetic about the finer points, technical elements of Clip Studio, stuff that I don't understand, completely disinterested in, but that matters to artists like you.
Any
No, you
further?
kind of answered my question. Hey, that's great. You got
Cool.
something out of whatever it was you said.
I'm glad to hear that. Hey man,
So-
a lot of art is sharing the little bits that we all figure out, right? Like, cause I do not know everything. But I've been doing art stuff long enough that I have a couple of nuggets to share, and I'm willing to do so. And I love hearing all the feedback you guys give, because I'll learn stuff from you guys too, and that's great.
Yeah, no one wants my nuggets.
Chicken nuggets?
You wouldn't share your nuggets.
No, those are your nuggets. Those are the
I'm
nuggets
not a chicken.
you feed me.
Oh, that's true.
I get nuggets from you. Nobody wants the nuggets I give. But we are very happy you guys tuned in. Thank you so much for dropping by. I think we're going to be streaming definitely on Friday. I don't know if we're streaming Wednesday this week. I'm going to try and get that video up regardless.
If we're streaming Wednesday, you get to see more of the work in progress of the colors. If it's Friday, you'll get to see the finished result, because the pages will be done by that point. So
Nice.
Ooh, excellent.
We are happy for playing the thing. I don't know what he's talking about. All right. Be sure to tune in next time. Click the bell, subscribe. I can never do this outro. I'm so bad at it. Whatever. Goodbye, everybody.
like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and tune into
Tune into
the
the
frequency.
frequency.
There you go.
We'll see you next time.
Later.